Well, last Sunday at the post-baptism gathering for my granddaughter Charlotte, some of our favorite guests were a pair of 2-year-old twins, Natalie and Ben. They were the children of Charlotte's godparents. Natalie and Ben, I have to say, were real troopers last Sunday. You know, they went a very long period of time being playful and then crashing and melting down and then rallying up again, you know, without a nap. So much of our amusement came from just watching what interested them and, you know, watching them insist on doing things themselves. Like, they were very entertained pushing chairs around for a long time. Like determining what they would and would not eat. Like running outside. Like running away outside. And this just all remind me about something in this gospel story today, where James and John say, "We are able." And, you know, we hear that and we scoff in the context of that story, but, you know, to be able to say we are able is not a bad thing. It's part of our human makeup, right? It's necessary for survival, to learn, to master tasks, even extremely difficult things, and to tackle them. A current, you know, hot topic in parenting is this idea of helicopter parents, right? And that's, you gotta not do that. You can't hover over your kids at the first sign of struggle or try to rescue them from failure. That's not a good thing, because we have to all learn to say we are able. We are able means I can. You know, there's a lot in there. You're saying, yes, I can, or I have some confidence, I can do this. Commitment, I'm going to see this through and finish it. You know, there's hope and optimism in that. The hope a gardener brings in spring when they're planting. The hope of an artist and the imagination it takes looking at a blank canvas. The hope of every political campaign. The hope of every sports team. Go Cubs! The hope of every person who just wants that door of opportunity open and says, I can do that job. We are able. I've got a few pictures. Oh yeah, is there any? There you go. Make that bigger. This is the 1980-something version of Jim Childs. It's a little bit little right now. I hope you can find why he's standing with the chainsaw or something in some big tree logs. Well, here's the story. Jim's parents bought some land in the countryside west of Springfield, Missouri, and they wanted a timber frame house built there. They asked Jim's older brothers, Mikey and Danny, if they wanted to supervise the job as general contractors. There you go. And thank you. And you know, Mike and Dan said something like, "Yes, sure, we are able." Even though at this time, all they had was the small business of building log cabins by a lot of the lakes around the, you know, the Springfield area. So this would be quite a much bigger project. The home was going to sit on a steep ridge overlooking a spring-fed lake far off the road. The basement would have to be blasted out with high explosives. See, they couldn't resist this. Creating tons of stone masonry that they would also need. The brothers, optimistic, and even though inexperienced, figured that they could finish the construction in less than 6 months if they hired a few guys with hammers to help them. As the months passed, Ellen Childs started driving daily the 20 miles west of Springfield to the site to feed the crew, to nurture the crew, to encourage the crew, to pray for the crew, and to just keep them going to the completion of that project. And every day she just wondered if her sons and her sons' friends would ever take that collection of construction materials and make it into a home sweet home. Turned out that everybody who came anywhere near the site got recruited to help. I found out my sister-in-law, Mary, actually got recruited for the roofing crew. Jim took off a semester from college to pitch in, and finally, after a year and a half, the house was finished. There it is. Through the sweat and the hard work of some boiling hot Missouri summers. Through figuring out stuff and sticking with it, through injuries, a lot was gained by this group of young adults. A community of friends was formed, bound together by that work. A community of friends that still holds together to this day. And so when James and John say we are able, in the context, in that conversation with Jesus, we think, oh, foolish young disciples, how brazen. And yet, I want to say, it's not a bad quality. How can Jesus use that? How does Jesus use that? Of course, in this conversation, they don't get what we do, which is within a few days of this, Jesus would come to a throne of sorts, and to his glory of sorts, he would be up on a cross. Just within a few days of this, outside the city of Jerusalem, and the ones that were appointed to be on his right and left were two bandits crucified with him. The Son of Man came to serve and give his life a ransom for many. Not to be like another face on Herod's throne, or a new face, like a kinder and gentler version of the Roman emperor, the Roman rule. And so Jesus said to them, you don't know what you are asking. Are you able to drink the cup that I drink? Well, I don't know about you, when I think of that, drink the cup, I think of Jesus in Gethsemane, asking his Father to take this cup from me, but your will, not mine, be done. And I just researched, and boy, I read a lot of passages in the Old Testament about this cup imagery because I wanted to understand what that was or what Jesus meant. And mostly it's found in all those, the voices of the prophets telling people or whole nations like Israel, when they turned away from God and gone their own way, that they're going to drink a cup of God's wrath is going to be poured out on them. Let me come back to that image later. Point is, Jesus is not here to go after power, prestige, perks. He didn't come for aggrandizement. He's not bringing his kingdom with armies or tyrannical rule, but as a slave to all. And if he has an army, it's an army of humble servants. It comes from the bottom up. Slaves are at the bottom. That's how his kingdom is going to come.